Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm your host, Corey Deerick, and alongside me, as always, is the Jotun Toten, the vault dwelling, the glass shattering, Josh Finney.
Hello.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey.
How are you?
You know, I'm good. It's been a busy day, a raging migraine, but I'm here.
Raging migraine. Yes, I feel exhausted because of A, work, and B, we're doing something really big this weekend for Boss Rush, and it's, for me, I think it's big. So a lot of production and a lot of prep work for it, and I'm also exhausted from that. But a lot of cool things were announced this week that I'm really excited for.
Just a lot of stuff in the last few hours.
Yeah. I opened my DMs and you're like, Elden Ring, and I'm like,
dude, listen, I'm not a From Software guy, but Elden Ring looks fucking awesome.
What I mean, not to like get off subject, not that we're on subject or anything, but like, what excites you about Elden Ring? Like to me, it just looks like another Dark Souls game, which is fine.
So it is in a lot of ways. It's an open world game, though. It's not linear like most From Software games are.
Yeah,
I think that's part of what really excites me about it. And I don't know, it looks really unique. It's George R.R. Martin too, frankly. Like, that also has me really excited. If he's not writing Winds of Winter, I mean, I might as well go enjoy this because it's the closest I'm going to get. So, yeah. But no, this week alone we've had that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. There was an indie game shown today for Xbox from a new studio out in Sweden that looks really, really cool. Really cool cell shading. Like that. Battlefield 2042, of course. Man, there's a lot of stuff that looks really good.
Yeah.
Frankly, I mean, it's been a killer couple of days, and we're not even an E3 proper yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I was most excited for was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands today.
What an awesome way to open and then close the show. You open with Tiny Tina, you close with Elden Ring. Like, yeah. I would love to know the conversations and what Jeff had to do to get Elden Ring on his stage and away from the Xbox show.
Yeah, right.
Even Jeff Grubb was talking about that earlier. He was like, I would love to know what kind of conversations went on there, because Xbox still has the marketing deal. Like, that's the wild thing about this. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility, I guess, for them to show a quick trailer or something, but you have to figure if they show anything else, Bandai Namco is saving it for their thing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, and he put an end to the rumor that was already going around of, oh, well, Microsoft wants to be able to come out and say, like, every single game shown here is coming to Game Pass day one. Like, no, that's not why. No. Like, it was something else.
They've already made it clear that they're having an extended Battlefield gameplay demo.
I don't like that. So. I'm not a fan. I never liked it when Call of Duty did shit like that. I don't like this. I like Battlefield, but I mean, at this point, what do we really need to see? It's fucking Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was really annoyed that we got a 6-minute cinematic trailer with no gameplay. That really, really bothered me.
Yeah.
With that reveal, and I know that this isn't Josh's pre-E3 grievances show, but you got that. You've got a million different rumors flying around now. It's E3 week, of course. Multiple people have said in the last week or two they think that Microsoft is probably announcing 2 to 3 more studios, which
you
that
brought
happens
up
would be wild.
You brought up what Crytek and
so yeah, the rumor right now. Jeff was talking about this. We've had a few other people say they've heard the Crytek, at least they've heard the Crytek rumor and the Avalanche rumor before. The IOI one was new, but the 3 rumored are Crytek, IOI, and Avalanche.
I wonder if that's just rumored because Xbox is rumored to be publishing their fantasy game, right?
So that's what I'm wondering too. At least those last 2. Crytek makes a lot of sense to me. They've been in financial trouble for years and years. They almost went bankrupt after Crisis 3 and Rise. They've resorted to just making free-to-play games, I think, ever since.
Mm-hmm.
But CryEngine is still, that's still a good engine. I have to imagine that if Microsoft acquired them, it would be more to get the IP rights for Rise and Crisis than anything.
Yeah. Because wasn't that floating around too that there was going to be a Rise sequel at some point? There was like a
Rise sequel was basically confirmed right after launch of Xbox One, but it got scrapped not even a year later because Microsoft and Crytek couldn't come to an agreement over use of the IP.
Yeah, and then Crytek went into some financial problems for a while.
Immediately after. I mean, Obsidian, almost the same thing happened to them. They were supposed to make a launch title. Microsoft backed out and canceled it less than a year before launch.
Right.
And they basically struggled until the acquisition 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't shock me to see Crytek. It wouldn't shock me to see Avalanche. I mean, Avalanche, if you don't know them, they're the team behind Just Cause. They did the Mad Max game a few years ago. I mean, again, standard open world team. They do good gunplay. They do some fun, wacky stuff. They're supposed to be making. They did Rage 2, as well. That's the last game they actually made. So they've been working on something.
Okay, like I played it on Game Pass, and it was totally serviceable.
That's probably the best way you could sum it up. Is it's an okay game. It's made for Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have played it otherwise, right? But no. I played it, and it was weird because the game was kind of empty until you got into these small spaces that were pretty, mission based, right? And then you got into some gunplay, which felt a lot like Doom, right? Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, because I mean, it wasn't involved directly, but they were, overseeing the project, and id
co-developed it with them. Yeah. So from what I understand, it was id's Germany branch.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure Rage is something they might be looking at a third game probably at some point. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but yeah, Crytek. Man, if they just think of all the engines they could use if they acquired Crytek.
So it's kind of crazy because then you'd have Slipspace. You have the franchising for Unreal 5, obviously.
Uh-huh.
You have Playground's custom engine. Mm-hmm. You have Turn 10's Forza engine, literally called Forza Tech. And what's the other one that you have, well, we're not bragging about this one, but you have the Creation engine, and you also have id Tech, which to me is the best first-person shooter engine on the market. You have id Tech, and you just developed Slipspace for Halo. So there's a lot there. IOI is the most intriguing part of this for me. The other two, okay, cool, makes sense. I could take it or leave it. IOI, though, because I've seen a lot of people already poo-pooing this, and they're like, well, I just can't understand it. And to be fair, this is the red flag for me if you lump all three of these together. IOI is the big red flag because they have an early game of the year contender in Hitman 3, which, I mean, I think that's the hype for that's going to die off as the year goes on. Just because you're going to get other high quality games, right? You're probably going to get Horizon, you're going to get Halo, you're going to get a few other games. They capped off a trilogy that literally got better with every installment, which is really hard to do. They're making the James Bond game, and now they're supposedly making this Dragon fantasy game with Xbox.
Right.
Colonel Panic and I were talking about this the other day, but remember a couple of years ago there was a GoldenEye remaster and remake that was floating around that couldn't get released because of legal issues. We were kind of wondering, now that IOI has the license to make Bond games, would they be able to get that released now or remake it in-house? Because let me tell you, if that gets remade and re-released, that's going to sell bonkers amounts of copies. So, yeah. I don't know. I think IOI is the most intriguing one. Again, people are kind of poo-pooing it because they just got out from under Square a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. In terms of Microsoft's portfolio, IOI makes the most sense for them, but also the least sense because of them leaving Square and finally becoming independent and doing their own thing.
Right, as opposed to studios like Crytek and Avalanche did. Yeah, they have alliances with certain studios. Like Crytek got published by EA for a few years there with the Cold Crisis trilogy, and then Avalanche obviously has a Square Enix connection as well with Just Cause, and they have a Bethesda connection as well with Rage. IOI is the weird one, and I think like for me, it's not even because like they just got up from under Square. It's because they're doing Bond. That's the one thing that makes me like kind of go, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, because that's probably not something that Microsoft wants released multi-platform if they were to hypothetically get them. And I mean, I'll get off this in just a second. Like, because this isn't the Xbox show. Y'all are here for Destiny stuff. I don't know. Just if you're listening to this past Sunday, write in and tell us if we were right or wrong.
Yeah.
If this actually happens. For the record, I do not think that they're acquiring all three of those.
Yeah, I don't either. I
think that's in the case of just like the WB rumor last year. It's too good to be true.
Yeah. I mean, I can see a reveal that they purchased someone. It's not going to be any of them.
I realistically, out of those three, if they were to get one, it's Crytek.
Yeah. And I think they're going to do it for. I don't think they're going to do it for the IP. I mean, right? What's their biggest IP right now? Crisis, I guess.
Listen, if you want to reboot Crisis, I'll play every last fucking game with the Crisis name on it. Okay, I love that trilogy. I love those.
Are you going to buy the remasters?
Hell yeah! I'm waiting for 2 and 3 though. I like 2 and 3 way better than the first one.
Yeah.
Absolutely, all three of the originals are on Game Pass, by the way. Go play those if you've never played them.
Yeah, I've never played them. So.
And they have FPS boost now.
Oh, they do?
Yep.
Yeah, because that was the one thing. It was like they're the 360 versions, but they run at 30 frames. So if they have FPS boost, then it's probably worth it.
They got FPS boost, and I believe they have auto HDR.
Yeah. So they're going to look pretty crispy. Speaking of crispy, Josh, we got some Destiny to talk about.
We got a little bit of Destiny. We're not even going to go into the TWAB this week because the TWAB is basically.
You don't want to talk about Fashion Week, Josh?
No, I don't.
I got my Iron Banner fur. Okay, I want to talk about it.
Gladly, I'm going to skip the TWAB this week. There's really nothing there. It's understandable. It's E3 week. They just released a major.
I'm surprised they put one out. To be honest.
I mean, they literally do it every week except for Christmas time. So
yeah,
I'm not too surprised. I mean, some weeks, as we've seen, are lighter than others. It's just, I did all my break last in case of emergency topics at the end of last season. So, but Corey, have you been able to play any since the Stasis nerf last Thursday? It got deployed before we got on. Neither of us had a chance to play with it last week.
I played some on Saturday night.
Okay.
I did my Crucible Pinnacle just to see what it was like, and I played a little bit on Tuesday. Also, I played some Iron Banner on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. There is little to no stasis, at least in the matches I play. I probably played like 10 matches.
It is night and day.
Yeah, it's actually like quite surprising how
it's
much stasis
pretty balanced. Like I mentioned it right before we started recording. This is the best Iron Banner has been for me since Stasis came out.
Yeah.
I was playing some matches shortly after reset on Tuesday with our good friends Colonel Panic and Nerd Generalist, and we went in. We weren't winning every match. We were getting steamrolled occasionally, but there was never an overabundance of stasis. Like, you were losing because people were just better at the gunplay because they were using 120s or they were using the occasional sniper or something like that. Like, you were losing because of that. You weren't losing because of bullshit getting frozen. And I think it's finally at a place where it can excel in PvP. Now let's tune it up a little bit in PvE. Maybe not the hunters, because the hunters are still really good in PvE. Mm-hmm. But let's tune the other classes up a little bit in PvE. Let's make the behemoth actually useful in game content.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I think it feels really good. I'm not getting killed by fucking shurikens every time I turn around. I'm not seeing axes or hearing the Winter's Wrath activate. It's actually really nice. I had a fairly decent time. I could run a light super without feeling like I was going to intentionally be harming myself or my teammates. Mm-hmm. It's really, really good. I mean, compound that with some awesome Iron Banner rewards.
Yeah.
They got the Ingrams fixed, so now when you turn in your powerfuls or you turn in tokens, you can get one of the 4 new weapons. Of course, I'm not a hand cannon guy, so I just kind of skip over that. But I like the other 3. The shotgun is all right. I really like the sniper, and verdict is still out on the LMG. But the sniper, great sniper. I know our friend A1 Johnny's been using it a lot. I'm hoping to get one that's actually useful here pretty soon. And yeah, I don't know. Crucible feels like it's in a good place now. Now can we just get like brand new maps, please? Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I'm gonna say this every single week until it comes out. We need new maps.
Right. God, can we need new maps? Can we please get?
It has been like 680 days since the last Crucible map was added to the game.
I know. Last
new Crucible map, that is. I want to make the distinction there. It's bad. It's real bad. And it's likely that we're going to be waiting on maps until at least the Witch Queen.
Right.
Which, it's unforgivable. It's unacceptable that there's not new Crucible maps with every paid expansion. I understand not including them in the seasons. Maybe, you could rotate a Destiny 1 map in here and there during the seasons. Or, bring some of the older Destiny 2 ones back that have been out of rotation. But the fact that we don't have new maps being added for a paid $50 expansion is unacceptable at this point. Same with Gambit. Gambit maps also. I understand it takes resources. You used double the size of your studio over the last year. You better be making PvP maps.
I feel like they should have like a dedicated, Bungie employs a lot of people. I feel like they should have a dedicated PvP team, right? I feel like wouldn't that
they
make
do.
sense?
They're making matter.
That's fair. Yeah.
You
got
right
me.
Into that one.
You got me. You got me. So, whoops. My bad.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like it's aggravating, but at least the rewards are worth it now in Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Iron Banner gear. I like the other weapons you can get now that are in the pool. Frozen Orbit, of course, is one of the best snipers in the game right now. Survivor's Epitaph is a pretty decent hand cannon. And other than that, man, I'm grinding out these seasons of the Splicer weapons. I'm playing a ton of overrides right now, trying to get all my upgrades, trying to do my time trials.
Dude, that auto rifle is awesome. What's it called?
Chroma Rush is like, I'm a believer in 720s now. I'm a believer. I never liked Misfit. I like Chroma Rush though a lot. Yeah. That's what I run a lot as my primary in Vault for the first 3 encounters for opening, and then the first 3 I'm running Chroma Rush. And then I only take it off when we get the Gatekeepers.
Yeah.
So, which that was fun. The Gatekeeper cheese was nerfed. You can no longer use Prometheus Lens to break the shields or Colony. You can no longer do it. You now have to do it legit, which honestly is not bad. We got it on the first try. It just requires you got to be communicating, and you got to be moving back and forth quickly. You can't stop and dilly dally.
Yeah.
Which was my problem when I tried it a couple weeks ago for the first time. I went in on the second night. I went in on that Sunday night to try and do Gatekeepers and do Atheon, since we had heard there were cheeses, and our team did not understand how to. Because Gatekeepers, right from the get-go, you can tell how it's going to work.
Right.
It's a little bit of a twist now. The relic holder cannot bounce between the portals. You have to, if you exit the portal or enter the portal, you have temporal displacement, which means you cannot enter or leave for another 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So really not that bad. The less people you have, though, the obviously way harder it's going to be. You got to keep those portals open too. You got overload Minotaurs out there running at the plates. It's still a fun encounter. I don't mind it. It's actually pretty simple to do normally. And then Atheon, now that we know callouts properly, Atheon's a joke.
Yeah.
So I like it.
I feel like
any other raid.
I feel like anybody who's run Vault, no, I feel like Atheon is almost the easiest encounter once you figure out the callouts. I've always felt that way.
We're still trying to get him down to a 2 phase. We got him down to like a 2.5.
Yeah.
Right now, which has been really nice.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been pretty good. I like that. Again, like the loot. I'm still on my quest to get Praedyth's Revenge, the Vault Sniper.
Yeah.
Still on my quest to get that, or to get Retold Tale, or not Retold Tale. Retold Tale is not the shotgun. Found Verdict. On my quest to get those, and to get the chest piece and the class item. Still do not have those for. Ran Deepstone for the first time in a few weeks. Right after we did Vault and jumped straight into Deepstone. Still have my LMG. 21 clears. Still don't have it.
I think it's time to give up, Josh.
I spent spoils to buy a chest too, and I'm very upset about it.
You're gonna be that person. You're gonna be that person that gets it when the gun sucks.
I'm going to get it when the gun's... Whoa, that's like right now. I'm going to get it when it sucks. But then on top of that, like, everybody was like, oh, I don't want to hear about your RNG. You got Mythoclass. I was like, no, it should tell you something. I got fucking Eyes of Tomorrow when all I had left to get was Eyes, the helmet, or actually Eyes, the chest piece, and Commemoration, the LMG. Mm-hmm. I got Eyes and I got the chest piece in the same run. Still no LMG. Still none. And it only drops from the boss, which is even more infuriating. I'm very disillusioned right now with Deepstone. I don't want to talk about LMGs in raids for the foreseeable future. But I don't know, Corey, you got anything else? You got anything else to share? Share with us, Iron Banner.
I mean,
not Trials. None of us have played Trials in the last week or so.
I mean,
I probably should have for the SMG, but
I mean, Iron Banner is still it's more fun now than it has been, right? I mean, we kind of touched on that. Sure. I've kind of, I don't want to say I've taken this season off, but I've been playing less this season just because like the power level grind isn't there, right? Because it's only 10 instead of 30 last season. I feel like I'm pretty well equipped for if we go into a raid or whatever. I have a lot of masterworked gear that I'm really happy with. I've been building a resilient Sentinel Titan that is, running a shotgun and a scout rifle that I'm pretty happy with. Running Chroma Rush also, switching in and out. So I kind of feel like when I go in, I'm really like just playing if somebody asks me to play, right? Like I play with Mitch, once or twice a week. But I've kind of been dabbling in other games this season. I do try to jump in on the story stuff, although I think I'm 2 missions behind. So, but yeah, man, I don't really have anything else to say that I've gotten from Destiny. So,
one thing I do want to touch on is Nightfalls. 1280 Nightfalls suck for getting the weapon drops. You got to run several of them even for a chance like that. That's not an uncommon drop. Uncommon means like, oh, you might get like one like every 2 or 3 runs or something. But my God, like what was it? John ran like 14 inverted spires last week on 1280. Didn't get a single plug 1 to drop, even on double rewards. We all took to running it on Master, though, and man, let me tell you, I ended the week with... I already have 50 prisms in my inventory. I have 50 sitting in my Postmaster right now. I have 3 golf balls hanging out in there. I had about 6 plug 1s that I just used as infusion fodder were deleted straight up.
Wow.
It was pretty... tons of cores. Yeah, lots of enhancement cores dropping. It was crazy. Double rewards, though, man. I think the pattern that it goes on is you get... They do double rewards 3 times, and it's going to be one for each weapon. I just hope and pray to God that Glassway is not one of the strikes that double rewards falls on the week of. Because I don't know if I hate myself enough to do that. I already don't like Glassway, and it gets worse the harder and harder that you do it. But double rewards, like I don't know if double rewards is the way that like every Nightfall should drop, but I feel like what you get for double rewards from a Master Nightfall is what should drop regularly in a Grandmaster. Like I was getting exotics every single run. Granted, I was deleting them all because they were ones I just didn't like. But I was getting good stat rolls on all. The only ones I saved were my Aeon Swifts. I got Aeon Swift to drop at like a natural 68.
Wow.
And with how those have been reworked, they're actually good now.
I saw somebody. Was it somebody we know, or was it somebody? Maybe it was someone like Paul Tassi or something, where somebody got a natural 70 drop of some sort. Who was that? I forgot.
So our friend Johnny got a natural 70 to drop.
Maybe it was him then.
He got a natural 70 to drop. I don't remember on what it was. I don't know if it was an exotic or a legendary, but he got a natural 70 to drop. Yeah.
It's probably on his Twitter feed, right? I'm gonna look this up. Johnny, you're getting called out. I want to see this. Where are you? Because he put it on Twitter somewhere. That was my song. Hope you enjoyed it.
It was a beautiful song. It was a lovely song.
Thank you. I did my best. Yeah, first natural 20 armor he's ever seen. It was the Axiom War rig. So, yeah. Yeah, wow. So, that's cool. It's awesome. Natural 70s. Man, that's going to change so many people's grinding efforts now. People are going to kill themselves trying to get 70s on everything.
The highest I've ever gotten is a 69. I got that on my Orpheus rigs.
Nice.
So, yeah, really happy about that. Just wish I had more of a reason to use them. I mean, we really don't have a lot to talk about this week. Like we said, the Schwab is completely empty. Just kind of talk about how like Stasis feels a little bit better. Talk about some of the loot we've gotten, some of the rewards we've gotten. We're gonna do a longer lore corner this week, though.
Yes, I love.
We have three pieces for lore corner this week because the lore, again, if you're not doing the in-game required reading, the lore is really stupid good this year.
Yes.
It was good. It was pretty decent in Hunt and in Chosen. Splicer has taken it to a whole new level. Like every single gun is worth reading the tab on. And with there being so much loot, that means there's so many new lore tabs.
So good.
So we're going to start, of course, with our piece from Beneath the Endless Night for this week. Hang on. I have to make sure that I get thrown off on the weeks. I think this is the week, though. I think this is the sixth week of the season. It confuses me because they give you two pieces up front of it, I think.
Yeah.
And that just kills me.
Josh, can I just say that Lore Corner is like my favorite part of the show every week.
I appreciate that. I like it.
It's your fault. I came on here expecting to sit and talk about Destiny like other things, and then you bring Lore Corner into it, and I'm just like, wow. That's all. That's all I have to
say. This one's called Understanding. It's entry 6 in Beneath the Endless Night. That's, of course, what you get from doing the weekly quests. Ikora Ray. Remember her?
I do.
Strode into the future war cult headquarters. It had the air of a church, hushed and reverent, but the air of sanctity was undercut by the intrusion of Vex technology. Wires climbed like vines across the ceiling, and the air was filled with the faint smell of ozone. In the middle of the room, reclining on a seat reminiscent of both throne and operating table, was Lakshmi too. Her face was obscured by a helmet that connected to the mess wiring above. Studious cultists shifted about with their heads bowed, glancing suspiciously at Ikora. As the warlock advanced, the cultist held up a single finger, commanding both silence and patience. Ikora's eyes narrowed. The cultist whispered into a small microphone next to the device. Its subaudible hum had been inconspicuous, but once it powered down, the quiet felt overwhelming to Ikora. Lakshmi said in repose, presumably orienting herself in the current timeline. "Leave us," she said without opening her eyes. "We'll resume at 1425. Her subordinates filtered from the room, looking past Ikora as if she was invisible. Lakshmi finally opened her eyes and fixed them on the warlock. "I assume you're here to bargain." "I'm not." Ikora's tone was calm and cold. "I'm here to issue a warning of my own." "Warn me?" Lakshmi laughed, her voice thin. If we have any further incidents on account of your incitement, I will personally find a remote icy moon to leave you on. Lakshmi tutted. Only small minds classify prophecy as provocation. She stood up and smoothed her garments. Certainty in the face of the unknown is the provenance of zealots. Ikora eyed the device. And the insane. This isn't a debate. And yet you are here. Come, Ikora, you've not seen what I have. Lakshmi gestured to the device. The Batsa district, under assault for a second time. Saint 14, pinned down by gunfire. And you? She trailed off, screaming for help over the comms. How many of your prophecies have gone unfulfilled, Lakshmi? Ikora snapped. I wish you could hear yourself. How afraid you sound. All those years studying under Osiris, and you're still so naive, Lakshmi replied. Ikora's anger flared. She advanced on the cult leader. Cut the BS or suffer the consequences. Understand? Undaunted, Lakshmi's artificial eyes shone bright. Understood. Ikora stepped back and let her anger pass out of her with a sigh. Then we're done here. She turned on her heels and strode out. As she left, Ikora wondered whose prophecy she had just fulfilled. Lakshmi's or her own. Yeah, this is just the latest piece in Lakshmi's ongoing incitement of the last city against the Fall. Against the Eliksni. She's determined that the future she's seen is what's coming to pass. I don't trust future readings. Osiris could see so many timelines, but he couldn't even see the timeline in which we saved Saint, for example. I would take Lakshmi's words with a grain of rice at this point. Far better to trust Ikora and not make her angry.
Yeah.
I feel, especially since we know Lakshmi is openly planning a coup at this point. Okay, and our next one we're going to jump into is Chroma Rush. The Eliksni awkwardly shouldered its way to the empty stool at the ramen shop and rested its 4 elbows on the bar. Maurice looked over from the huge pot of broth and thinking a titan in one of their ridiculous helmets that arrived for lunch called out, Irahisame. It wasn't until he absently stepped to the bar that he realized who his customer was. Metal plating covered the creature's forehead and the side of its face, ending in a nozzle that hissed a stream of bluish mist. A haphazard collision of heavy canvas and metallic weave draped over its shoulders. A Vanguard lanyard dangled absurdly from its neck. It was small for an Eliksni, but its angular head still towered above Maurice as it hunched over the bar. 4 blue eyes looked back at him from above a lipless mouth. It opened, revealing rows of thin, sharp teeth. 1 item ramen soup, the Eliksni croaked stididly. Please. Maurice held his breath, tightening his grip on his pencil, and grinned. He grinned when he was nervous, and this seemed as good of a time as any. The Eliksni grinned back, nodded, then opened its horrible mouth again. I smelled it, and the smell was good, it said. Maurice scanned the bar. His other customers sat frozen, their bowls of ramen steaming silently in front of them. He realized his mouth had apparently decided to talk on its own, as if nothing were wrong. He heard himself ask, How spicy? 0 to 5 stars. The Eliksni had anticipated this question. Spicy 5 stars, it said, holding up one hand with 3 claws displayed, and another with 2. May I receive additional dead flesh, please? You got it, Maurice said, his even voice betraying none of his tension. He turned back to the bubbling pot of broth. Muscle memory took over, and he soon found himself placing a steaming bowl of ramen in front of the creature, who clucked cheerfully. Maurice took half a step back. A small crowd was forming in the walkway in front of the restaurant. Some of the customers leaned in as their curiosity overcame their terror. Maurice noticed the woman in seat 2 needed more water, but it could wait. The Eliksni raised its arms tentatively, then turned to Maurice again. What is the protocol? Maurice found himself unsure what pair of Eliksni's eyes to look into and focused on the ramen instead. Well, you eat the noodles and pork and egg with... Egg, repeated the Eliksni, enjoying the unfamiliar word. Yeah, egg. You eat all that with the chopsticks and you get the broth with the spoon. Maurice saw how the Eliksni's claws dwarfed the ceramic spoon. Or you can just lift the whole bowl and drink it. Maurice mimed lifting a bowl to his lips. The Eliksni nodded. Its claws tapped the metal on its face and the hissing blue mist ceased. The Eliksni held the chopsticks, tested their weight, and respectfully placed them back on the bar before bringing the bowl to its mouth with his upper arms. Above the ramen bowl, Maurice saw all four of the Eliksni's eyes close. A long moment of tension fell over the shop, the silence broken only by a staccato series of hissing slurps. Finally, the Eliksni lowered the empty bowl. It breathed in as the blue mist resumed its thin spray. It looked toward Maurice. "I tasted all of it," it said with deep satisfaction. "I am very thankful." Maurice's grin turned into a tentative smile. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." The Eliksni stood and held out what looked like a small model of the traveler. It glowed as it floated in the Eliksni's palm. "Compensation," it said. Maurice reached to take the treasure, then drew his hand back. "For new customers, there is no charge," he said. "No compensation. Thank you for coming in." The Eliksni cocked its head, then clucked, and the model vanished below the folds of its cloak. It smiled at Maurice. "You," it said, then cleared its throat with a rumble. "You are a..." And the 5 spirited words that followed were replete with hard consonants. In the confused silence that followed, the Eliksni nodded graciously, then walked through the crowd, outside and deeper into the city. So, pretty sure this is the same one that Amanda was talking to in the hangar.
Yeah.
With the words that she used to describe Spider.
That's funny.
Yeah, I really like that one. You know, it kind of gives a glimpse into the Eliksni in the city.
Yeah.
And then I gotta find the other one. Debating which one I wanna do.
That was quite funny. I like the visual of the Eliksni just holding up one hand, but with 3 fingers, and the other one with 2.
Well, I think it's because they have claws.
I know, but I just like that visual.
Oh, yeah.
It's just funny.
We're gonna read Reese Walker, which is the Iron Banner shotgun. "No, I will not allow a fallen to fight in the banner. That right is reserved for guardians alone. But if you insist, I may allow a guardian to carry a fallen forged weapon into battle. You are a weaponsmith, are you not?" Lord Saladin to an unknown Eliksni. A hurled bottle strikes an Eliksni in the head, sending him staggering to the side in a crowded street. Glass glitters on the ground. People gathered in a semicircle around him shout invectives and slurs as he bleeds midnight blue from the deep cut in his brow. He has nowhere to run, cornered between a neon-lit club pulsing with the bass beats of rhythmic music and an alley blocked off by rubble left over from the Red War. "Please no harm, Vikrus's friend," he cries, 2 hands clutching his head, another held out flat as if it would ward the crowd off. "Looking for brother, missing, please." The crowd does not care. They continue to work themselves up into a fervor. Lakshmi Two's words fill their mouths, many of them too young or too naive to realize it. Vikrus can't understand so many unfamiliar languages shouted at him at once, but he understands the tone of the violence well. His posture says everything. Fear in his eyes carries additional nuance. He fears what happened to his brother. Hate begins to take root in his heart. A foundry worker steps out of the crowd, threateningly racking around into a shotgun. He aims down at the Eliksni, hands trembling. "You want to ask about family?" the human yells. Vikrus does not know what he's talking about. "People kidnapped my sister. She was running supplies from Earth to Titan. You raided it." Vikrus does not. He is cut off by a blast from the shotgun that pulverizes the street beside him. Vikrus crumbles to his knees and cowers. "Please," he says, and in the same motion picks up a broken piece of the bottle he'd been hit with earlier to defend himself. The crowd screams in outrage. When the foundry worker advances on Vikrus and racks another round into the shotgun, there's a sudden cold snap that fills the air with mist. The shotgun flash freezes, shatters like glass, and scatters into pieces of blue-black stasis. The worker recoils, clutching his half-frozen arms, screaming. Vikrus sees the crowd part behind his attacker, and a hunter, clad in black and gold with luminous markings on her armor, strides towards them both. Darkness coalesces around her hand. Stasis crystals drift like tiny moons around her. "That's enough," Aisha shouts. "You should all be ashamed of yourselves. Look at you." Aisha grabs the injured foundry worker by the collar with her free hand and shoves him back into the crowd. "Clear out of here before I clear you out. Now." Wind swirls around Aisha's feet, kicking up crystalline debris in whirling threads of darkness. The crowd recedes like a violent tide, some tripping over others in their haste to flee. As the crowd disperses, Aisha dismisses the sickle of Stasis, and the swirling wind at her feet fades as well. She turns, looking at Vickers, and offers a hand out to him. I'm sorry, she says with a tightness in her voice. He cannot see her expression behind the facade of her helmet. Vickers does not take the offered hand. His eyes show the same fear, the same hate. It's okay, Aisha says, slowly offering her hand again. You're safe now. They're not safe, Vickers snaps at Aisha, his eyes dipping down to her hand and then back up to her helm. You are just like Aramis, mind poisoned. Aisha's breath hitches in the back of her throat, and she suddenly lowers the offered hand, closing gloved fingers into a briefly formed fist. You're hurt. At least let me escort you to a medical. Her voice trails off. Vickers is already backing down an alley, blue eyes locked on her. She feels a weight on her shoulders, in her heart. The Eliksni disappears into the shadows, leaving Aisha alone under an endless night sky. It's not explicitly said, but there's going to be another piece that we'll read next week that it's implied that this may be the same Eliksni from the ramen shop.
Mm-hmm.
There is another one that kind of serves, I think, as the resolution to these if you string them together. But we're seeing they're not just staying to the Eliksni Quarter. They're walking around in the city. We see them in the tower. They're going to the ramen shops. They're going to all these places, and they're just like you and me if we were in the city. And humanity's been at war with them for so long that they don't know anything else, understandably. Mm-hmm. And so they're not quite sure what to do. They're terrified, and as we see, they're willing to kill to get out of the way.
Yeah. It's this whole season, right, is just it really feels, I don't know, it feels powerful in such a subtle way, And I mean, if you take the Lakshmi stuff out of it, like the Eliksni in the city, where we've actually stopped calling them the Fallen, we've started calling them the Eliksni, right? And a lot of the Guardians are learning how to cooperate and learn how to live with them, right? I mean, you kind of just said some of this, but like, it's really neat to see, this kind of, story of almost racism to an extent.
No,
right?
It's like, not almost. It absolutely is.
Yeah,
racism.
it's just like coming together to learn how to deal with that, and it kind of, it's telling a very real story that's happening in real life now, right? Like, there's a lot of people who are still, not to like really make it about this, but it's like there's still a lot of racism we see today in our real lives, and to see something like this being tackled in a game that's like not like you go in, you shoot aliens, you collect loot, and you get more powerful, right? Like it's really cool to see. And I think the narrative, we talked about it a little bit last week, but like the narrative over the last year has gotten so much better, It's just like.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's just like it's almost like a totally different game than what we were playing in Destiny 1 or early Destiny 2 stuff, right? Where it just feels different. The narrative feels different.
Right. There was along that line, there was an anecdote I wanted to share from Rami Ismaili, who he tweeted this out yesterday. I want to find his exact tweet because I want to read it word for word what he said. But it was about Destiny. Shit. I thought it was on his profile. I got to go back to mine. I believe it was him who posted it.
You'll find it, Josh. I believe in you.
I know. I really hate that I don't have these things pulled up, but we get talking and get onto really good tangents. Here we go.
It wouldn't be Tower Casuals without a good tangent.
It's 2021, and the space magic shooty loot RPG about a floating orbs zombie army is going hard on a storyline about accepting refugees and racism, whereas the Cuban guerrilla warfare shooter and the climate apocalypse shooter are both trying real hard to deny that politics exist. And I think that says a lot about Bungie's storytelling, is that they've taken this fantastical science fiction RPG that's in the future when humanity's on the brink of extinction, and they're somehow telling a more compelling and timely story than the game's actually set in the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just says a lot. Like, that's yet another thing. Like, we talk about commending the narrative team all the time. This is why. Like, things like this. Like, they're finding a way to take issues that we are discussing right now and bring them into this setting. And I mean, they're not just restricting it to these written lores, right? Like, the written lores may go more in depth, but we know that, like, Lakshmi she's a space racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's a racist. She's a fascist.
Which is hilarious because she's not even like, I mean, technically, yeah, she's a human, but like she's a robot.
Right. And so it's just absolutely fascinating to see this, and I really can't wait to see how this story unfolds the rest of this season, and even into beyond, into the Witch Queen. We're going to suffer the effects of what she's doing in the tower right now, probably for the rest of the Light and Dark saga. And for every week, it's making me increasingly more worried about labeling that end of the season event as the epilogue. I'm really kind of terrified about what that means for the city right now, given what she's doing. So, but that's going to do it for Lore Corner this week.
Nice.
3 really good pieces. I'm starting to run out of weapons. We're going to have to start moving on to the armors pretty soon.
Cool. I like armor. Josh, I know that, this weekend's going to be really crazy, but I'm glad that we got an episode in today, but I just, I want to tell you that I appreciate you. I appreciate this show. And when I know I say this every once in a while, but I can't stress enough how much fun this show is. It because, a lot of the other shows that, you appear on or I host or whatever is like, there's always 3 or 4 other people, and we're talking about all kinds of stuff. And this, just sitting down on Thursday nights with you, it kind of brings me back down a little bit, and just I appreciate you and the work you put into this show and the lore and coming up with topics and the TWAB and getting to talk Destiny with you every week is just a real pleasure, Josh.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just, I appreciate you and this show, and I'm really glad that you decided to do this with me almost a year ago. So it's coming up on a year.
Yeah, it's basically been exactly a year now.
Yeah.
We're a week or 2 off from it.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks because 2 weeks? Yeah. About 2 weeks, yeah. Because we started it after E3 last year, or whatever that equivalent to.
We
E3
did it right
year.
After the reveal of Arrivals, I think.
Yeah.
Which was a year ago this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been exactly a year.
Yeah. So there's
been a wild up and down year, but
yeah.
Well, we're still here.
We are. So, just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you and your friendship and your co-hosting abilities on this show. And
thank you. As we get ready to go into this extremely busy weekend.
I know. Oh my gosh, I'm like.
So I'll be on 2 of the 3 with you. So
yeah, thank you. Save me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, if you haven't been really following us, or at least me on Twitter, we're doing Boss Rush at night this weekend. So if you want to come hang out and listen to things about video games and announcements and that kind of stuff, you can check us out online. So there'll be more of that. Just follow on Twitter and you'll figure it out. Josh, you're on the Xbox One. Are you joining us tomorrow?
I am joining you tomorrow.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
I will in fact be there.
Cool. I wanted to make sure because I know that you said you might have prior things happening.
So. No, that got bumped to next week, so I'm good.
Great. That excites me beyond belief because I need you for Elden Ring, Josh. I need you for Battlefield.
I feel like looking at our panel tomorrow night, I may be the only one that's actually excited for this game. So, also because it's mainly because of my love for George R.R. Martin. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm less excited about the actual game. I'm more excited about, oh my god, I'm actually going to get like a new world from him. And, hey, if I can't get a proper ending to Game of Thrones, maybe I'll get a proper ending to this game.
Maybe you will. Maybe you will. Well, Josh, again, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. If you are listening to Tower Casuals, thank you. Consider leaving us a nice review on Apple Podcasts. A 5-star rating.
Spicy 5 stars.
Yeah, spicy 5 stars. Five stars. 5 stars. Eliksni Five.
Yeah, if you're five Eliksni stars. If you're not watching the video, I'm trying to like pantomime the claws right now.
That's the title of the episode tonight. Is Eliksni Five. Yeah, if you are watching the video, please consider subscribing.
Please write into the show.
Yes, that's the other thing. I started leaving the email in the show notes, so towercasuals@gmail.com. Give us your questions. Follow us on Twitter @towercasuals. Sorry, I got all kind of backwards. Josh, where can we find you, sir?
Twitter, as always, @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. Follow me for my random musings about E3, about the Lord of the Rings anime movie that got announced today, and my playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima. There is a Lord of the Rings anime movie being made, yes. And it has the blessing of Peter Jackson, and it is being creatively supervised by his co-writer on the trilogy.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm all here for it. It's being made by New Line, and it's going to take place couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand years before the events of the trilogy. It's called War of the Rohirrim. It's all about how Helm's Deep got its name. I'm here for it. I'm excited.
Nice. Is this have anything to do with the Amazon series?
Nope.
No.
Completely separate.
So the
rights for Lord of the Rings are really funky.
Does the Amazon series have anything to do with the movies?
I don't think so, because it's more based on Tolkien's notes and like writing.
Okay.
I don't think it has anything to do with the movies. I may be completely wrong, but it takes place in the Second Age. It's not even in the Third Age, man. So it's like we're talking like Fall of Numenor.
Yes, I know all these words you're saying right now.
I love the North. So.
You would be really sad if I told you this next statement.
You've never seen Lord of the Rings. God, Corey, where can we find you? Where can we find you so we know where to send the hate mail?
Not in Middle Earth, apparently. You can find me at I am Corey NHD on Twitter, Corey NHD on Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast and Boss Rush at Night this week. Check out your podcast services for the audio versions of those shows the next morning. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to write in towercasuals@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @towercasuals. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, Guardians.
Go watch that Elden Ring trailer.
Bye-bye now.
You'll say, I hope you ended exactly on that.